So let's move to our Canadian hub that we are actually collaborating with in Umeå. And hopefully I have Ali there. Are you with us, Ali?
Absolutely, right here. How's everybody doing today?
We are doing great, and I'm so happy to introduce you, and thank you so much for collaborating with us in Sweden Innovation Days. And we are in Umeå. We just came from Umeå, and we are so looking forward to future collaboration as well. But now I will head over the stage for you, and my colleague Stina, as you met yesterday, will actually take over and end this room soon. Thank you so much, and the stage is yours.
Thank you.
Komma in också.
Okay. Well, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you folks are joining from. Really excited to be here today and participate with for the first time for the DMZ for the Sweden Innovation Days. And thank you to all the members here, Maria and team who've been working with us for this collaboration. Just from an introductory standpoint, my name is Ali Tayyab, and I'm the head of strategic partnerships at the DMZ at Ryerson University. We are a technology accelerator and incubator located in the heart of downtown Toronto. And my presentation will be walking you through the next 20 minutes on an overview of the history of and insights of what it is, how did we get to where we are right now? How did we get to our ranking as the #1 university-based incubator in the world? And discuss what's happening in Toronto, Canada as well. So I would hope that this is an interactive session between both parties here. If you have any questions, please do feel free to interrupt me at any point, and hoping that I can add as much value as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and please let me know if you're able to see my slides. Yes? Okay. So starting off with who are we? So the DMZ is a world-leading technology accelerator located in the heart of downtown Toronto. What we do is we help high potential entrepreneurs grow and scale their startups to world-class businesses. We have a very strong focus and presence on growing our companies both locally as well as internationally. Our vision is that we believe that a world is powered by ambitious entrepreneurs. We focus on the people, not products. And we believe that if you bring in the right people, provide them the right resources, they're definitely going to grow their businesses to world-class entities. What our value proposition is that we would like that our startups, when they're done with our program, to have that playbook for startup growth. Once they're done from the DMZ, they don't need to go to any other support organizations. They're ready to be launched. They're ready in market, and they have the potential to grow. We're really proud of our ranking, as we are ranked by a organization from Sweden, UBI Global, as the #1 university-based incubator in the world as of 2018 to 20, and which has helped DMZ and Ryerson put ourselves on the map. When we started off 10 years ago, sharing some history here, the DMZ was only focused for students at Ryerson University to build their businesses. However, Ryerson quickly realized that for us to stay competitive in this day and age, we need to open our doors to the top businesses, top entrepreneurs there. So we looked to have a policy where there's no affiliation with Ryerson University that's necessary. Folks from all over Canada started coming here. If you wanted to build a technology-first business, they were looking at the DMZ. And fast forward to 2020, we have definitely scaled our business operation not only locally, but internationally. We have about 70 plus partnerships working with the likes of Tokyo to India and hopefully Sweden very, very soon. And our mandate is to bring the best possible startups to come to Canada and use this as a launchpad. Our model is that we are a nonprofit equity-free program. So we don't take any equity from companies, and we're 100% focused on helping our companies grow and scale. Our values at the DMZ, which has really helped us succeed, first and foremost, is equity over everything. We really truly believe in the notion of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and create programs that no matter what your background is, race, gender, religion, we have a program for you to get to where you need to go. We have a very much of a founders first mentality. So, doing whatever possible to help the entrepreneur and this aspect of greatness. What does it truly mean to be great? What do we really offer at the DMZs? It comes down to four key areas, which is access to world-class coaches, access to customers, access to capital, and access to community. Our impact to date over the past 10 years has been extremely important for us to track. And we've helped close to 500 companies in this current time. Those companies have gone on to raise close to $1 billion in capital. From an economic development standpoint, as Canada, from a population standpoint, is a small country, we've helped to create close to 4,200 net new jobs. And this has happened because we've always kept our focus on opening our doors, the international partnerships that we have. And those companies have gone and impacted close to $400 million in terms of job value and economic development creation. This is not happening just because we're working from a local national perspective. That is there, but we have opened our doors to 20 plus international partners that we're working with in country. We have 70 plus incubator relations, and then we've hosted close to 600 plus international delegations at the DMZ. What is our model, you might ask? So our core model is in 4 stages. We work with early stage companies from a talent startup creation perspective with our sandbox program. There's a huge emphasis on youth and talent development, starting off early and putting the seed for entrepreneurship within our entrepreneurs. Our incubator program, we're working with companies on a market validation stage perspective. They're currently looking to break into market. They have some traction. They might have some pilots, etc. Our accelerator program, which is our flagship initiative, we look at bringing in companies with a minimum of $25,000 monthly recurring revenue. So companies that are very much in advanced stages. And our track record speaks for itself for the accelerator, that almost in 4.5 months, we 3x revenue for our companies, 3x their team size, and our companies go on and raise close to $1.1 million follow-on round. And when you speak about alumni, as mentioned, we have about 500 companies that have gone through our program, extremely strong network of alumni that are working very closely with us. The product of the DMZ is our startups, and we have a number of notable success stories. We don't have household names such as the Facebooks and the Twitters of the world, but a lot of really good Canadian companies, North American companies that are doing exceptional work in our markets. Companies such as Zensurance in the insurtech space that got acquired by Travelers, Borrowell that works on microloans and credit reports that have done extremely well raising their Series C. Sensible that work on payment invoice tracking that have done a Series C as well. So a lot of very good diverse companies. As we are sector agnostic, we work with across industries. So some really good success stories from the DMZ. When it comes to our partnerships, we're looking at 4 key pillars to bring in partners. Number 1 being helping our corporate partners on their innovation priorities. Number 2 is helping them integrate within our community. That's a big need that we see from a lot of corporate partners. They want to be close to what's happening within the entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem. As I mentioned, inclusion, a huge focus for us on diversity and inclusion. One of the largest initiatives right now that is currently in motion, which is a 5-year program for us, is the DMZ Black Innovation Fellowship. And that essentially is a platform where we're helping Black founders get access to the DMZ and get access to program from early stage talent development to later stage venture capital. We in a 5-year program, we're looking to impact close to 500 Black founders and making partnerships from institutional partners, corporates, and governments to support that. We do a lot of work when it comes to women founders initiatives and helping other marginalized communities get access to world-class programming. And then our last pillar is inspiration, where, as I mentioned, a huge focus for us is to work towards inspiring the next generation of youth entrepreneurs. In Canada, we work on an early stage incubator program just for high school students. That's something that is very unique to the Canadian market. putting the seed for innovation early on. We have a lot of affiliations with Ryerson University. Ryerson University, we're located in the heart of downtown Toronto. It's about 40,000 staff and students. So there's a lot of cross-pollination when it comes from students accessing DMZ programming from an entrepreneurship and innovation perspective, taking courses to build their businesses, providing access for students to start working for these startups as well. So working on this key pillar is also a key differentiator for us. Toronto is definitely having a very unique moment. As some of you might know, that Toronto is one of the fastest growing tech markets in North America. Last year, we created more jobs in New York and Silicon Valley combined, 22,500 net new jobs. And the reason that this is happening in Toronto, number one, is Toronto is very much strategically located in terms of close proximity to the US. There's a strong focus on diversity and inclusion. There's an amazing talent pool, great universities and institutions like Ryerson, University of Toronto, just in our backyards in our downtown Toronto core. There is this Toronto to Waterloo corridor, as they say, which has now 6,000 startups currently located. And they say out of Silicon Valley, it's the highest concentration of startups in North America and perhaps the world. And some great companies have come out of Canada. And when these companies come and do some amazing things, such as the Shopifys and the Hootsuites, it inspires the next generation of entrepreneurs to come in. Our focus on open policies when it comes to immigration has really helped Canada and Toronto excel, as we are a smaller country, and bringing those folks in. And then just generally speaking, Toronto, in terms of looking at quality of life, if you pick up any publication from The Economist to other notable publications, Toronto and Canada, depending on the cities, rank very high when it comes to quality of life. And tech individuals and startups working in the tech ecosystem and startup ecosystem want to have that work-life balance, want to be in environments that value diversity, inclusion, and hence one of the reasons that Toronto is definitely succeeding. It's interesting. I'm not able to see you folks right now, so I can't see the questions if there's any questions. But for the moderators, if there's any questions coming in, please do let me know. Some of the partnership benefits that we see from the DMZ perspective is, number one, wider exposure from a talent and recruitment perspective, international exposure that we get from our 70-odd partners, brand awareness, as we're ranked as the #1 university-based incubator in the world. We definitely have a very strong presence here. Pre-COVID, we took over Google's old office. So to paint a picture, we're in the heart of downtown Toronto. Take about 50,000 square feet in the center of Toronto. So some of the best workspaces that you can find out for our entrepreneurs along those lines. And then we have dedicated team members that are working with you to help you succeed to where you need to go. From a corporate partnership perspective, as was mentioned earlier, we had some of our partners join on yesterday as well. We work with some of the top companies in North America and the world, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies, with the likes of the Facebooks, the Royal Banks of Canada, Accentures, and then work with very closely with government bodies like the City of Toronto, and then global players such as Fujitsu. And all of these partners are coming to the DMZ for specific needs. Some of them are looking to work on very core open innovation priorities, and DMZ has a project and a program for them. Other partners are looking to support the next generation of entrepreneurs, and the DMZ has initiatives for them. And then some are coming to look holistically to support diversity and inclusion initiatives. The success of the DMZ being around for 10 years now and having had an opportunity to work with almost 500 plus companies has inspired an entire network of incubators and accelerators for Ryerson University on campus. And now we have 10 incubators and actually just going to have 11 very soon. And these incubators act as an entire network and funnel for DMZ. So if you're working in legal tech, you have an option to go to the legal innovation zone. If you're working in biotech, you're working on, you can go to the biomedical zone. And this entire funnel helps us work very closely with early stage companies, provide them subject matter expertise based on their vertical interest. And once they're ready to scale and grow, they can come to the DMZ as their next step. So this has inspired this entire network, what we call zone learning at Ryerson University. And roughly speaking, close to 5% to 10% of individuals within Ryerson University, or 40,000 staff and students, are working on entrepreneurship and innovation related programming. And from a formal presentation perspective, that's it from my side. I definitely want to take as many questions as possible and drive value. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, as I wasn't able to see what's going on your side. But if there's any questions from the audience, please feel free to ask.
Well, thank you so much for a great presentation, and I'm super happy to having you with us here, Ali. We have some questions, actually, too, from the audience. Then, of course, I have questions as well. But you mentioned Michael Scales is asking a question. You mentioned equity and diversity. Does this include neurodiverse persons like ASD, dyslexia, I think you say, and so on?
A great question, Michael. And sorry, I wasn't able to see the screen and saw I'm seeing the questions now. But great question. So we're looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion from a very much of a holistic perspective. Anyone that is in need, whether that be ASD, dyslexic, we have support at the DMZ. From a technology accelerator standpoint, I would say we're taking very advanced steps from looking at diversity and inclusion. First and foremost, we have a dedicated team member on our executive and management team that looks at diversity and inclusion. So that's there. We have a diversity and inclusion committee at the DMZ with bringing in multiple diverse individuals. So if you're working on partnerships or programs, you're there to add your perspective. And then we're also talking very closely to our founders based on their needs, what they're seeing, and where the industry is going. So as a technology accelerator, I think we're taking some very positive strides to looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion from a holistic perspective.
Fantastic. That sounds like you're doing a great job, even in that area then.
Thank you.
Another question from the chat was actually how many people that aren't born in Canada is actually living in Canada? How does that demographic looks like?
So there's Canada is a country built on
Huge.
Immigration.
Yes.
Huge, and in the city of Toronto, we're seeing a lot of individuals coming from different countries. DMZ is a representation of that. Toronto is ranked as one of the most diverse countries, diverse cities in the world. And I believe at the DMZ only we have about 70 plus languages that are spoken within our startup portfolio. So we're looking, there's a huge influx when it comes to immigration in Canada, and this reflects back to our startup portfolio.
Fantastic. Sounds definitely like a place you would want to be.
Absolutely. And we're seeing, unfortunately, because of some of the political situation that's happening in the U.S. and their stricter regulations on immigration policies, we're seeing some very strong tech talent from the U.S. coming to Canada. Because of our proximities, because of our strong relationships with the U.S. As well, from an economic development standpoint, startup companies who want to use, who want to have a stepping stone in the U.S. are coming to Toronto and Canada as that launch pad, and we have various initiatives, international programming, etc., that can help you with that.
So as a Swedish startup, curious about entering Canada, I know for sure that Canada is a very interesting market for us. Because of many things, what you mentioned here is, of course, one. It seems to be a very great place to live, basically, and not so different from Sweden when it comes to culture and also access to nature. Only a lot bigger than. But so one question is, if I would be a startup from, listening in here from some of the countries, how could I engage, and how should I reach out to you? What can you do for me?
A great question. So firstly, I think Sweden and Canada, in terms of culture, share a lot of similarities. So it would be, it would be relatively easy for a startup coming from Sweden to come to Canada. And I think they would not be scared of the winter as well. We're used to the cold weather. So, as a first step, one could, definitely come and reach out to anyone at the DMZ. All our contact information is on our website. If you type in DMZ Toronto, you'll be able to find us as the first or second link on Google. Reach out to us. We have a lot of international focus and international programming, and work very closely with the different government organizations, trade organizations. And one of the most important things in our toolkit at the DMZ is we're a designated startup visa entity. And the Canadian government put the startup visa program together to help international companies and international entrepreneurs who are looking to come to Canada get expedited entry as a permanent residence. So DMZ is one of those organizations that has an ability to write a support letter to help you come to Canada really fast, as long as you have everything else also organized. You have a great business. From an immigration standpoint, you're ready to take that next step. So we have those steps in place, and then we also do soft landing initiatives. So for startups that are not necessarily 100% ready to take that jump and want to come and take a 2-week exploration mission or a journey, we do soft landing initiatives. So if a company or a startup from Sweden wants to come to Toronto, through our initiatives, we'll get exposure to our coaches, to our mentors, to our corporate partners, to our immigration lawyers, etc. And they will help you take that first step and help you, guide you to what is the next step you need to go towards to fully have yourself established.
That sounds actually quite fantastic. I wish that we had the same fast track in Sweden. We have that in some cities. I would say Gothenburg have a quite developed organization such as that, and also some in Malmö. But it's on the overall national level, it's more tricky actually. So that was a really good answer. One question for you. Being an entrepreneur, I'm just checking the chat so we don't...
No problem.
They say that they love you, so I think that's a good thing, right? One thing, as a startup, especially in B2B, of course, customers are the single most important thing when to decide that this country should be relevant. You need to understand the market, and you need to understand if what you are offering is good for the market fit. So at what point, how would you recommend a startup entering Canada? I mean, suppose that they've met some of the large Canadian companies here today, for example, or at another time, and then they go to Canada to start and investigate if they can do a project together, and probably they do 1 or 2 or 3 POCs or so to validate, and the results are great. So obviously they will take the decision to move on. At what point would you say, what would be your recommendation? Should a founder come and live there for a while? Or at what point should you start to recruit? And do you also support in the recruitment process and so on?
Yeah, great question. So I would say for an international startup, one of the best things that you can do is to get involved and associated with a support organization like the DMZ. So it's not just the DMZ, there's an abundance of other incubators and accelerators with various value propositions, some that are focused on a specific vertical, some are focused on taking equity, some are not focused on taking equity. But as soon as you, as an international startup, associate yourself with an organization, number one is the organization brings you under their wing, and it's their responsibility to help you quickly and expedite your connections and your network. Second, it helps you from a credibility standpoint. DMZ is one of the most difficult programs in the country to get into. Our acceptance rate is about 6.9 to 7%. So we get a lot of applications, and if you are able to get into the DMZ, it shows validation that you have the foundational elements. Your technology is sound. We've done due diligence as an entrepreneur, et cetera, et cetera. So that's there. And that will also help you if you're able to go to a corporate partner or investor, say that you're at the DMZ or you're at another organization. And thirdly, it's also connecting with other tech startups, other community partners, and Pre-COVID, we and still are able to maintain our community very well virtually, but we had about 75 to 80 companies physically located together in the heart of downtown Toronto, all early stage, all working on various technology solutions, all from different backgrounds and different regions in the world. But the fact that you're able to come here and connect with these entrepreneurs, and then also our alumni, will definitely help you expedite your entry, validation, and credibility into the Canadian market. And it is difficult and it is scary to go out there on your own, but that's the reason that organizations like ours do exist, and we're there to help you from a founder first perspective.
That's super. And my background, I've been working in both, I've been having my own startups, but also been working in scale-ups with internationalization specifically. And then I learned, for example, from some countries like Spain, the language was, of course, a barrier. So we rather quickly had to hire someone speaking the local language. That was, of course, one barrier. But there were also, and I think Germany is actually the same. The English, the level of English is overall okay, but when you actually need to get the job done, it can be really tricky if you don't speak German in Germany. So, but that could also be combined with a couple of cultural differences, business cultural differences. So, would you say that it's possible for a Swede to actually succeed in Canada without hiring local people? I mean,
absolutely. Like the answer would be yes. Again, entrepreneurs come in all shapes and all sizes, and all backgrounds. So there's no saying that an entrepreneur for Sweden cannot succeed in Canada. We've seen countless examples of international entrepreneurs coming to Canada using us as a landing pad and then expanding. And then once, they've been able to do it on their own, and they've been able to also, hire local talent. So absolutely, I think there's no stopping anyone specifically from Sweden coming to Canada and succeeding.
That sounds promising. Again, I think many of the startups in the audience are now looking very much forward to joining you. And one last question then about the intake. You mentioned that you don't take in a lot of startups. There are many that want to join you, but you don't. I mean, you have an intake rate of, what do you say, less than 6% of all the applicants. Yes. So what would be your best? What would you wish for? If you could wish for, like, okay, we would like to see this specific startup from Sweden, please do apply. Any specific area, at what size, what stage, and so on?
Great question. And, our model is definitely is flexible. So we have cohort-based programs, but as I mentioned in my slides, we have an early stage program that we can take in companies. And then also in 2021, we're going to be looking to even go earlier with boot camp style programming. So companies that are looking to come to Canada, irrespective of stage, I would say we have early stage programming as well, and later stage programming, cohort-based or non-cohort-based, so we can take you in mid-year if that's there. What our core requirements are is that you have to be a technology-first business. So, we don't work with service-based organizations. The tech component has to be very, very important. We are sector agnostic. So we don't, we're not saying that we're focused on fintech or insurtech per se. We're looking at all sorts of companies. And right now, I would say if you have a technology-first business, you have some validation in market, and you're looking to expand to North America, the DMZ is a no-brainer because we're an equity-free program. We put so much emphasis on the resources that are required to help you scale and grow. And it's not the first time that we're going to be working with international companies. So that in itself really, really, really helps. Whereas other organizations might be focused only on a Toronto-centric or Canadian-centric perspective. But we have had experience from working with companies from Nigeria to Sweden as well. So I think in general, in closing, would say that technology-first business who's looking to expand in North America. I think that might be my cue as we're getting to time. I just want to thank.
We're getting to time, but I would love to, thank you, because it's not only this session. You've been a crucial part of co-creating this whole event, actually, and you've been working very closely together with Uminova, and I know for sure that they are, they are so happy with the collaboration, and we are all looking forward what the collaboration on that level also will bring in the future. So we're really grateful, and thank you so much.
Thank you. It's our pleasure, and look forward to ongoing conversations and discussions. If anybody would like to connect, I'm easily searchable, Ali Tayeb, or DMZ as well on Google. Please do reach out. We are looking to help any entrepreneurs, scale their businesses. Thank you.
Thank you so much for a great session.
Thank you.